Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you guys. I'm Sam. There's some of you who seen me here last time I was here. Have heard my story before. But I always start off with this. And it just sticks out in my mind. At 16 years old, I got arrested for the first time. For the next 25 years, I spent 18 and a half of those years in prison. Experienced a lot of violence. Traumatizing events while in custody, and even when I was out. So, that affected me in a way that I didn't realize until later on in life. So I started educating myself on my mental health. I started wondering why am I still using drugs? Why do I keep using drugs? What's wrong with me? What do I need to figure out? So, I'm not going to give you guys a lot of details about how I got to prison but I'm gonna there came a point where I knew I needed to change my life. Something's going on. I need to do something different. What am I gonna do? So I was about to parole from my third prison term. This is late 2017, and I went to an aftercare event at Norco State Prison. I was on S time, or right before S time, for those of you who know. And it was an aftercare event with many booths, Health Right 360 and Lighthouse and just Amity. And there was a certain booth that caught my attention because it said Riverside County, and I was going to parole to Coachella, and it said DRC Center. So I approached the booth, and I asked a couple questions, and they gave me a brochure. I put the brochure, took it with me, and 2 weeks later I paroled. I went to see my probation officer, and I told him, you know what, I don't want to go back to prison ever again. What do you have out here? I want to get involved in some kind of program. I don't want to go back to jail. There's so much stuff that happened in my life. I feel like you gave you guys some details, right? But I am going to share a little bit, So let me backtrack a little bit. I fell into my addiction, deep into my addiction in, I'm going to say 2010. For the next 3 years, I probably used meth every day, every day. It came to a point where I looked in the mirror and I was so disappointed in myself, so ashamed of myself. Like, how did I get here? How did I get here? I would see my mom and she would look at me, and I share this a lot, and I could see a broken heart in her eyes. Every time I see my mom and she looked at me, I would see a broken heart in her eyes. It's like, I'm doing this, How can I do this to my mother, to my father? And excuse me, I get a little emotional when I remember that. But, that's kind of where that was right before I went to prison on my last term. And even before I got arrested, I wanted to change. I didn't want to keep starting over. I didn't want to keep being a letdown, letting my parents down, my children down. I needed to do something different. And I remember going to my probation officer a day before I got arrested. And he wasn't there. It was the officer of the day. And I wanted help. I wanted to get into a program. Unfortunately, they couldn't help me that day. They told me to come back on Monday, and I got arrested on Saturday. But when I got arrested, I didn't get arrested. I got saved. Because I don't know if I would have made it till Monday. I don't think I would have made it till Monday. My mental health had took a hold of me where I was contemplating not being here anymore. That's how far my addiction took me. I didn't want to be here anymore. And if I didn't get help soon, I wouldn't have been here. If I wouldn't have got arrested, I really don't think I would have been here. While in prison on my last term, I surrendered. I surrendered. That's it. I quit. I don't want to live like this ever again. I don't want to feel the way I was feeling back then. I got involved in the SET program in prison. I got involved in AA, NA, Toastmasters. I took a domestic violence class just because I wanted to learn about it, And I learned a lot of stuff in domestic violence. I've never had no charge of domestic violence, but now I know that mentally, financially, there's other ways to domestic violence, not just physical. So I learned about that, and I even took a class called Criminal Gang Anonymous. So I just completely surrendered to recovery while I'm in custody on my last term. Because of all the stuff that I was doing, the positive stuff that I was doing when incarcerated on my last term, I was granted 4-year early release on Prop 57. I was not going to parole until 2022. You know, I still would be in custody right now. You know, and by the grace of God, I got out January 2nd, 2018. When I paroled that last time, like I said earlier, I went to my probation officer and I asked for help. I wanted to be a part of a program. I wanted to do something where you know, I don't want to come back to jail. And I had that brochure in my back pocket, the DRC Center, you know. And I showed it to my probation officer, Mr. Kasich, is his name. And he kind of smiled when he seen me holding that brochure. Like, how do you know about that, you know? And I said, you know, I have to care of it in prison. And that's how I got involved with DRC. And you know what, guys? That's the best decision I ever made in my life. When I got there, I met Antonio. Once Antonio shared his story with me, it gave me hope. He gave me hope, and I said, you know what? Antonio can do this. I can do this. You know, it took somebody from my lifestyle, from my culture, to catch my attention. You know, I already wanted something different, but when I seen Antonio there, it just gave me purpose. You know, wow, all right. You know what? This guy came from the same background as I. He's working for the county as a peer. Wait a minute, I can do this too. I can get sober too. I can make something out of my life just like he did, just like some of my coworkers here did, and you guys can too. You know, I got fully involved with DRC. At the DRC, there was resources. There's a lady, I always talk about her because I'm so grateful to her, named Ana Cepeda. She works for the county, and she's like a career coach. Anybody who's interested in going to school, there's funding available called Prison to Employment. Any of us who've been in parole or probation or been incarcerated just one day qualify for this funding. You know, all we have to do is have our GED. And if we don't have our GED, the DRC will help us get our GED. You know, and once we get our GED and we want to continue our education, I'll give you Anna's information. You know, they sent me to school. You know, I went to school to become a drug and alcohol counselor because of the funding available. I didn't have to pay anything. You know, they took care of that for me, and I share that with everybody who I support. You know, there's funding available. There's resources there such as EBT, help you with your CalFresh. There's somebody there who gives you an application if you need to get your ID, your driver license. There's so many resources at DRC that all we got to do is ask, and they're going to help us. You know, one of the DRC, Antonio asked me one day if I was interested in maybe becoming a peer one day. And he told me about peer employment training. So I reached out to the trainer back then of peer employment training. I filled out an application. I started going to the RI Wellness Center in Indio, and I got to meet some people at RI. And you know, I had an interview for my to go to peer employment training, and I was able to go to peer employment training. That experience is life changing. You know, when I went to peer employment training, it was 2 weeks of intense, I believe it was from 8 till 5 in the afternoon. That training, peer employment training, just helped me see everything differently. I would go home after every training, every day, and hug my family, tell my parents I love them. There was just something about it that it just made me see things in a different perspective, how to appreciate life, you know, and I would remember how I felt before and now how I feel today. And it was just beautiful. I was able to graduate from peer employment training, and I remember graduating from peer employment training, and I had job offers. You know, people wanted to hear my story. You know, I want to back up a little bit. When I was in peer employment training, like James Fisher, somebody mentioned earlier about there being doctors and people with degrees. Well, that's how it was in my training. There was people there who had degrees and were like clinicians and therapists. And yet, here I am, freshly out of prison a few months, and I was like, what am I doing here? You know, I felt out of place somewhat. And I shared with my classmates at the training that I felt out of place and I want to leave. And they're like, you know, Sam, don't leave. Don't leave, you know. I told them why I wanted to leave, how I felt out of place, because they all had degrees and You know, the only degree I have is one that Will told me he gave me not too long ago. PhD. What did he call it? PhD.
Personal history degree.
Yeah, right. The lived experience. But everybody in my training told me, Sam, we might have these degrees, but we don't have what you have. We don't have the experience that you have, all the knowledge that you bring to the table to support other people in these programs. And they're right, you know, they're right. We as peers, we bring something special to the table because we really do know what it's like to get out of prison, to be an addict, to be homeless, to feel myself unworthy at one time, you know. I felt like I didn't deserve better, you know. I felt I deserved what I was going through for whatever I had done in the past, you know. But today I know I deserve more. Today I know I deserve more. I want more. Today, my mom's eyes, there's no more broken heart there. I just had a conversation with my mom a couple of days ago, and she told me she's so proud of me. Excuse me. Today I see my mom, and when I see her eyes, she's happy. She's content. You know, one day she was sitting in the back of the house in a rocking chair, and she was laughing like, "Wow, you know, are you okay?" And she's by herself laughing, and she's like, "I'm just happy that I don't have to worry about you no more." And that part right there, that part keeps me sober. You know, that part keeps me going and wanting more, because that's one of my goals before I got out of prison last time. I want my parents to be proud of me someday. You know, since I was 16 years old, in and out of prison, you know, my mom worried about me, my parents worried about me. My mom would look for me. I remember times hiding in I seen her in the casino one day looking for me. I went in the restroom and hid in the men's restroom, you know what I mean? My mom would look for me, and today she doesn't have to look for me. She knows where I'm at all the time, you know. I know I'm all over the place with my story, but I'm gonna go back to the DRC, you know. Today, I am blessed to be an alumni from the DRC in Indio, but not only that, I also work there now as a peer support specialist. You know, when I got there, Antonio was working there as a peer, and I think Antonio kind of took me under his wing, and he said, "I'm gonna get this guy in so I can transfer to Riverside," right? Yeah. So, you know, today I get to pay it forward. Today I get to, you know, everything that I learned at DRC, peer employment training, I get to share it with you guys. You know, I facilitate color, WHALE, substance abuse education, and also another group called MORE, my ongoing recovery experience. I get to share the resources that I have. You know, I get to connect people to Anna. I get to connect people to Hope Housing. I get to, if somebody comes to the DRC and they say, "Sam, I need help. I want to get into rehab." You know, today I know the contacts. I know who to call to help people, you know, because I know how I felt when I needed help, you know, and I know if somebody wanted to help me, I would have probably not been here. I got arrested the next day, right? But today I'm able to help somebody where maybe I can help them that day where they're not going to get arrested. You know, I know who to call. I call Annie to help me get somebody into rehab if that's what they want, or sober living. And that's what the DRC is for. I tell the people I support, if you're going through anything, if you're any kind of way, call me. And if I'm not here, call the BHS, call one of my coworkers, Robert or Karina, whoever is there with me. And if not, I give them the CARES number. I have all these resources to share with you guys, and that's the beauty of the DRC. It's like a one-stop shop. When I was still going there as a student, there was times that I was struggling. There was times that I felt like using. And you know what? I don't know if Antonio caught on, but there's a couple of times that I went there and I asked for Antonio, and he came outside and he sat with me in the lobby, and he doesn't know that he kept me sober. You know, he doesn't know that. But, you know, I went there because that was my safe place. You know, instead of going to hang out in the casino or going where I was going to go, I would go to DRC. Even when I graduated from DRC, I would still go there. They have a computer lab in there. There was a time that I needed I forgot what I wanted to do, but I wanted to learn more about computers. So I went there, and the teacher there helped me do an online course by myself, you know. I could just keep going, but, you know, the DRC, I'm just so grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. it did something for me. It changed my life, you know, and today, like I said, I'm happy to work there and be able to share research with you and pay it forward. So if you guys are interested or want some more information on pre-employment training, talk to me after. I'll give you guys a website where you guys can go onto there and see if that's something you might want to do. You can ask me or ask Antonio. All right. Before I go, I just want you guys to know that change is possible. You know, it really is. I know it's hard, and I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. You know, every day we have to practice self-care. You know, it's like a disease. It is a disease, you know, but it's like an illness, and we got to keep taking our medication, because if I don't take my medication, my illness could come back. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm cured and that it's gone away, because it's not. It's in the back of my mind. I tell my participants, my students where I'm at, my disease is right here, doing burpees, getting stronger and stronger, waiting for me to mess up so I could jump back in my body and take over. But I'm not going to let it. I'm not going to let it. You know, today I have my imaginary backpack where I carry my tools, my recovery tools, my coping skills, and when I feel a certain kind of way, I use it on myself if I have to, you know. But they're not only there for me, they're there for you guys. So don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, for us, from the culture that we come from, some of us from prison culture, we don't want to address certain issues sometimes, but, you know, if you need help, ask. I didn't get better until I was able to address my mental health issues, until I was able to talk to a therapist and process a lot of stuff that I hadn't processed. And I share that with my students. My mental health was a big reason for me doing what I kept doing, and I didn't get better until I educated myself on mental health and talked to somebody. With that, I mean, thank you for letting me share. My name is Sam, and I wish you all the best, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Thank you.